to say, yeah, I didn't know it was racist at the time.
But now we do, so let's move on.
I thought this would be interesting to sort of go away from the whole Biden-Trump thing and Ukraine because it hasn't really played out yet, and we won't know really if anything. So this is from the Stanford Advocate, which actually is an opinion piece from, looks like, Molly Roberts, the Washington Post, published on the 21st. It says, Justin Trudeau says his privilege made him do it. I mean, okay. The interesting thing about this is that he's not just saying, yeah, it was my fault, my bad, let's move on. No, he's saying, my white privilege made me do this. Wow. Again, this is just too good. I don't see how anybody, I do. If you're a progressive left, which is mostly Canada, I see why you would still vote for this douchebag. But this guy, so let's go ahead and read this real quick, and we'll sort of digest it together. So it says, people in the United States might feel a smidge of schadenfreude at our neighbors' struggle with transgression alarmingly common among politicians here at home. If our only schaden weren't so tremendous. Still, there's something about the Trudeau story that makes it especially hard to ignore, and his explanation for his behavior gets right at it. Here we go. And this is what quote from Justin Trudeau. Quote, I came from a place of privilege, but now I have to acknowledge that comes with a massive blind spot, Trudeau told reporters in the latest multiple apologies for his multiple mistakes. Quote, the fact of the matter is, I've always, and you'll know this, been more enthusiastic about costumes than is sometimes appropriate, he told reporters in the first instance. There's nothing wrong about costumes, and I don't care. Now, culturally speaking, a white guy shouldn't do blackface or brownface. However, it seemed to be okay for that movie White Chicks for African Americans to put on whiteface and act like white chicks. But again, that's just a movie, and I don't think we should. I think we should ignore it. It's just a movie. However, Robert Downey Jr. didn't get crap for. I think it was Pineapple Express, where he did blackface. But that was in a comedic role. It wasn't like he was making... If you know the movie, then you'll understand. Trudeau's critics, of course, have been saying he loves costumes for a long time now. He masks his shallowness of his commitment to the First Nations people with a tattoo based on a Haida design on his sculpted left tricep. He camouflages a retreat from welcoming refugees with a constant flow of lovely language condemning President Trump's xenophobia. Again, that's an opinion. Donald Trump doesn't have xenophobia. Now you could say, well, he did the Muslim ban. No, it was only a few countries, and Obama did the same thing. And the Democrats voted for a southern border wall until it became politically expedient not to vote for it because Trump wanted it. See, this is just politics. But again, instead of just saying for Trudeau, it was my fault, I shouldn't have done it, I was young, but he was 29, and let's move on. Instead he goes, it's my white privilege or my wealthy upbringing that made me do this. No, Trudeau, no. Oh my God. Yet the trouble with Trudeau's comment comes not only from casting modern day minstrelsy, let's pronounce this correctly, minstrelsy, whatever, as just another costume, or even in the coy familiarity Trudeau assumes his audience has with his proclivity for dress-up. No, the trouble comes from the concept that enthusiasm is an excuse. That's pretty poignant. As if Trudeau were a small child who simply could not help himself from dressing up in Jamaican garb and singing the Banana Boat song, or dressing up as a turban character from Aladdin for an Arabian Nights party, or dressing up as whatever on earth he's supposed to look like in the most recently released dark makeup video, because gosh, it was just so fun. Let's go back to this Banana Boat song. Remember the movie Beetlejuice? They all sang it, and they were all white. So are they all racist? Winona Ryder's racist, I guess? And all those actors? No. It's just a song. And it's a very popular song. I guarantee you it's a very popular song during karaoke sometimes. So I guess if you're gonna do karaoke, all your songs have to be white if you're a white person, and all your songs have to be black if you're a black person, or Latino, etc., etc. You can't sing Despacito if you're white, right? It's ridiculous. Trudeau speaks with the bashfulness of a man who expects sympathy from a country that adores him as a father does his little boy. That's true. That's fitting for the scion of Quebecois, at least I can say that one right, dynasty of the son of a former prime minister, the late Joseph Philippe Pierre Yves Elliott Trudeau. Jesus. There's 6 words there. Anyways, he didn't do better because he didn't know better. He didn't know better because no one has ever taught him. Bullcrap. My parents never told me not to do blackface. I just realized early on that I probably shouldn't do it. And then I had no compunction to do it. So why would I do it? And then I would ask, why would he do it? I was in a Baptist play for Christmas, and I think I was Balthazar or something like that, one of the 3 wise men. I didn't put blackface on. I just dressed up in a costume and said a couple lines. And my friend said a couple lines. I think my brother was Melchior, and he said a couple lines, and that was it. Not a big deal. But you see, I guess Trudeau at the time, he had to go all out and obviously put his face completely dark, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Unless he's used to that. Continuing on here. Justin Trudeau sounds a bit like the adult version of Notorious Affluenza Tune, who drunkenly drove a Ford F-350 into more than 14 people and killed 4. Then had a psychologist testify that his permissive upbringing in a world of wealth had left him ignorant and of the ramification of his actions. You see, Your Honor, he was never told no. Yeah, I think this is the whole crux of the issue here. Is I think Trudeau thinks that his privilege, as how he puts it, taught him certain things, and what he didn't know, what he was never told was no, he can't do it, which is bullcrap. Trudeau was a relatively liberal politician living in a relatively liberal country, one that markets itself as a haven of multiculturalism and tolerance, and in many ways actually is, likely amplified the problem. He never learned a lesson because he was always getting gold stars from doing relatively liberal things. Yeah, exactly. It's not mankind, it's people kind. Shut up. It's obvious what's wrong with treating the thing that caused the insensitive behavior as a reason you expect forgiveness for the the same insensitive behavior. Ignorance won't go away if it justifies itself. There's a catch, though. Trudeau isn't wrong. Uh-oh, where's this going? Trudeau says, quote, he doesn't understand how hurtful this is to people who live with discrimination every single day, unquote, because he doesn't live with the discrimination every day. What? Bullcrap. And this is where I come into agreement. It's a cop-out on one level, but on another where his words underscore a precept of responsible identity politicking. Check your privilege. The extortion turn cliche goes. Oh, God. It means acknowledge your advantages, but how they helped you and how they limit you, and when it becomes comprehending others' less than charmed lives. Bullcrap. Here's the thing. Yeah, I'm a white guy. But if I didn't, after high school, I didn't do crap, I wouldn't be successful. Or I wouldn't have a job. Or I wouldn't have spent 20 years in the military. You don't spend 20 years in the military going, I'm white, so I expect everything to fall into my lap. You last about, a week before you get booted out. So this whole white privilege, quote unquote, bullcrap doesn't exist. One caveat, though, having money does open up a few doors. There are African Americans out there in the United States who are wealthy, and those doors are open for their children more often than, say, a white poor family from Appalachia. Continue on. The line between checking privilege as a responsible exercise and checking privilege as an irresponsible excuse might depend in part on what exactly, quote, check, unquote, means. Does it mean just taking a look at to make sure the privilege is there and then declaring it as if you were passing through customs? You've admitted you have it, so now you're off the hook? Or does it mean checking it like you check a coat? You leave it behind and you leave yourself exposed to all the consequences that privilege has far permitted you to avoid? What Trudeau teaches us is there's a difference between insisting that you didn't see something and insisting that you couldn't see something. Between blaming your fortunate circumstances for your failure and blaming yourself, then accepting whatever comes your way because you failed. Here's where he quotes. Quote, I didn't consider it racist at the time, Trudeau said, but now we know better. There's the essential question, do we really? And I think that's the end right there. I mean, this guy is a piece of work. So he goes on to say, yeah, I didn't know it was racist at the time, but now we do, so let's move on. What? Either it was back then or it's not now. Of course it is. And it always has been. Even when, I think it was Al Jolson who did the blackface. And did the whole Mammy skit or whatever. That was racist. Even for back then. But it was sort of allowed because it was Al Jolson, whoever the hell that guy is. I'd have to look. I know he's a entertainer. But I think with wrapping up here, I think that Trudeau knew it was racist. And he hoped these photos never got out. Now that they got out, he's tap dancing, if you will, to a different tune. Trying to say, hey, my white privilege made me do it. Really? Justin Trudeau? Your white privilege made you do it? I don't think so, Justin. And the fact that you just didn't... First you came out and you acknowledged it and you took credit and you took a responsibility for it. Then you come out and say, well, it was my right privilege. No, you're just an asshole, and you got caught. I don't think you're a racist, Justin, but what you did was kind of fucked up. And you should have just said, that was me, I did it, I'm sorry, let's move on. But now you're tap dancing and trying to make it out to you like you're the victim here. No, I think the victim is your stupid costumes brought onto this world and me having to respond to it. Laszlo out.